this one is too long. This one is too short. How about this one? No, this one won't fit either. Hey friends, I'm just searching through all of these to try to find a really good monologue. I've got an audition for a play, and they've asked us to bring in a monologue. But to be honest, I'm not really sure how to find one. And once I found one, I'm not sure what to do next. But fortunately, that's what we're going to talk about today, starting with picking a monologue, where we'll learn how to locate and select a monologue. Probing a monologue, where we'll break down a monologue through 10 steps. And practicing a monologue, where we'll analyze a masterclass session. Okay, let's master some monologues. Come on! And we'll start with picking a monologue. First, let's answer the question, what is a monologue? Simply put, a monologue is a speech given by one character. Monologues can be addressed to other characters, the audience, or the self. So, second question, how do I find a monologue? Well, monologues can be found in multiple places. You can read through tons of plays to try to find monologues, but that might take a while. Of course, that doesn't mean you should stop reading plays. You can mark monologues in them as you continue reading. But easier solutions might be to get a monologue book, which is a book filled with only monologues. Or you can just search the internet for monologues. There are multiple resources on the World Wide Web. Now, when auditioning for a theater, make sure to pick a monologue that's from a play, not a film or television show. And speaking of picking, let's answer our third question. Which monologue should I pick? When choosing a monologue for an audition, try to select one that's not super popular. So, to be or not to be may not actually be the wisest option. Also, look for a monologue that fits your age range. There are some characters that just won't fit me, no matter how good of an actor I am. For example, I would love to do a monologue of King Lear's, but I'm not at that age range right now. I don't have all the necessary lived experience to really grasp the role of the 80-year-old man. On the same note, look for monologues that fit the character or play you're auditioning for. Typically, you'll want to choose a piece that's from the same time period and genre as the play that you're auditioning for. For example, if you're auditioning for a modern comedy play, a tragic Shakespeare monologue would not be the best choice. Finally, try to find a monologue that is active rather than a memory piece. There are lots of monologues where characters are simply recounting stories from their past or talking about somebody else's background. While these can still be great monologues, they are not always the best option for an audition. For auditions, active monologues typically give more of an opportunity for the actor to demonstrate their skills. In an active monologue, the actor is in the moment. They're doing something right now. And speaking of right now, let's check out our masterclass student for today, me. I'm trying to decide which monologue I should use for my audition. I'm going to give you some background information and the options, and you will choose the one that you think would best suit me. I am auditioning for An Ideal Husband, a British play set in 1893. I would like to audition for the role of Lord Goring. He's a very fancy, rich man who enjoys the finer things in life. Monologue option 1 is from a British play called Miss Julie, set in the late 1800s. The character, Jean, is a servant for a count. In his monologue, he's telling Julie about the first time he saw her. Monologue option 2 is from a British play called The Importance of Being Earnest, set in the late 1800s. The character, Algernon Moncrief, is a wealthy idle gentleman who just wants to enjoy himself. In his monologue, he is interrogating his friend about why he has an inscription on his cigarette case with a different name. So, which monologue do you think would be a better choice for this audition? Pause the video and note which monologue and why. If you chose option 2, you're correct. Option 2 is set in the same time period as the play that I'm auditioning for. The character is similar to the one I would like to play, and the monologue is active rather than a memory piece. And let's commit what we just learned to memory as we move on to proving a monologue. Now that we have selected my audition monologue, let's work on breaking it down through 10 steps. These are almost exactly the same steps that are in our previous lesson, Intro to Script Analysis. Let's do a quick review. Step 1. Read the entire play from which the monologue is selected. So, for me, that would mean reading all of The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Step 2. Location. Where does the monologue take place? Mine is set at my character's Algernon's flat. I like to imagine the room as being comfortably furnished with a sofa, soft carpets, and velvet curtains at the window. Step 3. Relationship. Who am I speaking to? I am addressing my friend who I have always believed is called Ernest. However, I have just discovered that his cigarette case's inscription says Jack. Step 4. Moment before. What happened right before my monologue started? My friend lied and told me that his Aunt Cecily gave him the cigarette case and then tried to snatch it back from me. Step 5. Objective. What do I want? I want Jack, or Ernest as I know him, to confess his true identity. Step 6. Stakes. What is the worst thing that could happen if I don't get my objective? If I can't get Ernest to confess, then I will lose my best friend forever. Step 7. Obstacle. What is keeping me from achieving my objective? My obstacle is Jack's fear of losing his reputation in society. Step 8. Secret. What is my special secret that I don't tell anybody else? Well, except all of you, of course. Shh. My secret is I have a gambling problem. So, if I lose Ernest, I will lose the one person that can lend me the money to pay my gambling debts. Step 9. Beats. Now I have to break down the text into beats, where the action, intention, or subject shifts. Each actor can know the beats in the script in their own way. Take a look at the PDF for an example. Step 10. Actions. Remember, this is a controversial one. As a beginning actor, you will probably be asked to add a verb for each beat, but later in your acting career, you may choose not to. Check out the PDF for some examples. Fantastic! Now that we've broken down the monologue, let's move on to practicing a monologue. When working on a monologue, it's important to really picture the setting. Because it's for an audition, there won't be any set or props. Usually, all you have access to is a chair. By visualizing the surroundings in detail, it will make it real for the audition panel as well. Similarly, you should craft the person that you are speaking to. You can use whatever imagery works for you. Perhaps you like to pretend that you are talking to someone from your real life. For instance, because my character is talking to his friend, I might imagine that I'm speaking to my good friend John. Then I block my monologue. Do you remember what blocking is? That's right, the movements of the actor on the stage. An acting coach can help you with the blocking if you get stuck. They can also assist you with those previous 10 steps, characterization, and more. Let's watch a masterclass now as an acting coach helps me out with my audition monologue. Take notes as you watch.
Thanks, Juan, for coming in today. So excited to see you here. We're going to work on a monologue.
Yes, we're going to work on a monologue from The Importance of Being Earnest.
Ah, Oscar Wilde. Love it. And this is for an audition?
Yes, that is for an audition.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, let's have you start, and then I'll just stop you along the way, and we'll work on it, okay?
Okay. Why does your aunt call you her uncle? From little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why an aunt, no matter her size, should call her own nephew her uncle? I can't quite make it out.
Okay, great. So let's stop right there. Awesome. Remember that this is in the late Victorian era, right? So let's think about the mannerisms of that time period, their posture, how they stand, right? And everything in that time period is very restrained, right? So it's not big, like how we would be, like, what? Why were you doing this? Why are you lying, right? Everything is very here, right? Very restrained, very small. And when we get upset, we get pointed and we get sharp with each other. We articulate very clearly. We don't get loud as much as we get sharp and focused and intense right here, right? So it's this connection that we want. So let's try it again.
Okay. Why does your aunt call you her uncle? From little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why an aunt, no matter her size, should call her own nephew her uncle? I can't quite make it out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all. It is Ernest. You have always told me it was Ernest. I have introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You look as if your name was Ernest. You are the most earnest looking person I have ever seen in my life. It is perfectly absurd. You are saying that your name isn't Ernest.
Great. That was awesome, Juan. Let's do it one more time, all the way through. This time, when you hit the section about, I've introduced you to everyone as Ernest, you are the most, don't take any breaths. Drive through that whole beat, right? So then at the end, you earn that pause, right? It is perfectly absurd. You're telling me your name isn't Ernest, right? And that, give that name, the Ernest, that's your operative word. That's what you're going to punch at the end.
Okay. Why does your aunt call you her uncle? From little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why an aunt, no matter her size, should call her own nephew her uncle? I can't quite make it out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all. It is Ernest. You have always told me it was Ernest. I have introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You look as if your name was Ernest. You are the most earnest looking person I've ever seen in my life. It is perfectly absurd you're saying that your name isn't Ernest.
Nice. Okay, great, Juan. Yeah. We'll continue to work on it. And our next session, why don't you come off book, have it memorized, because you'll be closer to your audition time at that point. And obviously, for your audition, you'll be off book and have the monologue memorized. Right. Sound good?
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course.
Wow, that was super fun. I feel ready to audition for my play now. I hope you feel ready to tackle monologues now, since we've covered picking a monologue, probing a monologue, and practicing a monologue. You are now able to locate and select a monologue. Break down your monologue through 10 steps and rehearse your monologue. Don't forget to check out the practice questions and PDF for this lesson to prepare for our next class together. Scene Study 1. Until then, remember, in theater, like in life, the limit is your imagination. Hey!